But I have my co-hosts that are on, and introduce my co-host, Mike Bobbitt. You want to say hello, Mike?
Good evening. Good evening, Scott, DYCD. Good evening, everyone who's logged on to another Barbershop Talk.
I have my co-hosts that are on, and Jerry. How you doing, Jerry? How's things working out for you?
What's going on, family? Jerry Polite, Deputy Director, DYCD. What's going on, everybody out there?
And I want to for you all to forgive me right now. Something happens every once in a while and my video is not working, but we're going to move right on. As we get started, I want to just take a moment and a moment of silence for a great man who's done some outstanding work around the New York City area, especially some of the things that he was able to make happen with DYCD. And if it wasn't for that great man who passed today, David Dinkins, many things about DYCD probably would not have happened. And I just want to take a moment to just pause to give thanks to David Dinkins. Thank you for that. So, Mike, I know you've been around for a while, DYCD. Just really quickly, some of the things that David Dinkins has done with the agency. You have a couple of things you could talk about, and something you may know about?
Scott, one thing that leaps out for me is the Beacon program. So the Beacons were incepted under the Dinkins administration, and I was reading Mayor Dinkins' biography earlier this morning. There's a great review of some of the stuff he did in the Times and City Limits and other stuff. The mayor came to the city when there was a time of financial stress and racial stress. And it's funny, not humorous, but funny, because look at us now. Again, the city's in a time of racial stress and financial stress, but he was seen, and I think deserved to be seen and recognized for trying to bring people together at a time where people weren't necessarily believing they would listen to each other. So the Beacon program is one thing about finding safe havens for young people outside of school and using schools and repurposing schools to do that, which I think with our agency now. And, Daryl has joined the Barbershop Talks before, and you've had members of that team come to these meetings and continue to have Beacon people come to the meetings. We still try to live up to what Mayor Dinkins had in mind with that program. But the other thing I'm struck by, again, is the symbolism and the importance of when the times call upon leaders, who steps in. So the first African-American mayor of New York City, his legacy for the Beacon, but for a lot of other things, will never be forgotten.
Yeah. Jerry, you want to chime in on that? Because that's over in your lane a lot, also.
No, I think it was powerful. So for me, funny story, I always saw David Dinkins as that leader with the bow tie, right? And how it impacted me. A lot of the programs, Safe Space, Safe Streets, the Beacon programs that kept me doing extracurricular activities after school that led me to my expertise, one, in dealing with people, as well as athletically, how I was able to make it to D1 in sports, really started from after school programs. And that level of enrichment, camaraderie, that was really preset and started with the innovation with David Dinkins saying that, hey, what we talk about defunding police was really reimagining what that looks like in the community, because giving youth a bigger and broader opportunity to extend themselves outside of school, to do these different activities, kept us in different areas where we might have gotten in trouble. And for that, I'm forever grateful.
Definitely. I definitely, I've met David Dinkins a couple of times when I was running the Harlem PAL Center, because he's always around the community up there doing some great work. So we can definitely appreciate many things that he has done in his past here in New York. And as I said earlier, I was watching something earlier today, and they were saying, like, a lot of things he did not get credit for that he has done. and a lot of other people took the credit for work that he has done. But he never really seemed to worry about the credit. He was really more concerned about the community at large, which shows that he's really about working with the people. It wasn't about him. So we're going to move on. We have a great conversation tonight. So I want to, Dave, I don't know if you can pull up my first slide.
Sure.
For those of you know that we're going to talk about homelessness a little bit and how it affects people in New York. And I was doing some studying and I did some research and I found out some information. And, Jerry and Mike, it was really critical to me about some things I found out. Dave, you want to go to the next slide? So the growing crisis of single adults in around the country and in New York, especially here in New York. This was a study that was done by the Coalition for the Homeless. So I pulled it up, and they were talking about, like you see here, this is more than 14,000 adults. Women will sleep homeless in shelters, and another thousands will bed down in doorways and subway stations and public spaces. This is incredible that we as New Yorkers are having this many people to be able to live without affordable or some type of shelter among them. How does these numbers or these things hit you all?
Mike, I'll let you go first on that one.
There's no question that it's an issue of concern for the city. It has been, it is, it will be. Everyone deserves dignity and safety, be they male or female, be they young or be they old. And I know DYCD tries to play a very helpful part in helping address this issue. And when we get to introducing some of the panelists, you'll understand some of our stake in this. But just yesterday I was an attendee in a citywide meeting about homelessness prevention, about eviction prevention. There are a lot of issues around housing that we could do a whole series on. Like what makes housing safe, what makes housing affordable. People need to be employed and have opportunities to keep the housing that they have too. So there's so many things that we all need to continue to work on, both those that work at Department of Youth and Community Development, but with our colleagues at all the other city agencies who try to touch on this issue, and all the nonprofits that work across New York City with us, and to try to help younger and older men out. But I know you want to spend some time. Well, actually, I'm giving it up to Jerry before I circle back to Scott. Anything you want to throw onto that?
Yeah, I'm adding to Scott, Mike. Every time I look at the numbers, and you don't even need to go as far as looking at the numbers. You could just ride the train or get on the bus and you can see it live. And it's so mind blowing. I was literally having a conversation with a good friend of mine, and we can put people in space, right? We can do all these astronomical, phenomenal things, but we can't shelter our own, and we can't find the resources to make sure that everyone has appropriate shelter. And like you said, just living as decent human beings. And that is just mind blowing. So like you said, the efforts that DYC and other city agencies are doing is something that one needs to be praised, extended, and even magnified so that these numbers can go down, because it's just hard to grapple with the fact that with all the resources and all the space and opportunity there is, that someone is out there and doesn't know where they're going to go to sleep tonight. Like, that is really mind blowing.
Yeah, that's deep. Jerry, your video is working great. I wish I had the background up tonight, but I see we've got the usual Barbershop Talks logo, but I also see the Youth Count logo. So is that coming up in January where we're going to do the Youth Count again?
Yeah, we're getting a little bit spicy. We got a couple people putting in some additional stuff to really give us a really good background. We're going to see if we can hook you up a little bit later.
The youth count is really important, though, because we have to be able, with any issue, and I think this applies across the board, With any issue, you have to be able to name the issue. How are you going to solve a problem unless you're able to identify the problem? So I think the youth count is an important activity. It's kind of all hands on deck, where there's people across city agencies that are literally going around New York so we can identify how many folks we need to try to serve, how many folks we need to get to. And it's a big deal. So I'm glad that we're promoting it, bringing it, attention to it.
Great. So Dave, can you go to the next slide? We're going to go through these really quickly. This is a slide of the study that happened back in 1993 to 2016. And you see the staggering numbers that's going up and down. Next slide, Dave. This is actually currently some of the numbers we're having. And you can see this is by race and ethnicity. And you can see the different numbers of, once again, seeming people of color way outnumber the people of other nationalities as far as homelessness and needing housing and shelter. Next slide, Dave. Once again, this is single adults by ethnics. Again, so next slide, Dave. These are just singles. I think the other one was about with families. And then this just shows by sex, men and women. You can see the number of males who need housing or needing affordable sheltering in the New York area. Next slide, Dave. So I think that's it. So let's bring us back. So let's bring on our panelists that are going to be speaking to us. I'm going to introduce our first one. I'm going to let Mike do the second one, and then Jerry, I'm going to let you bring on our young people to do that. Okay, so we'll do it in that order. So I'm going to bring on Yolanda. Yolanda is a program manager here at DYCD. I'm excited to have Yolanda here. Yolanda, you want to say hello to us and tell us a little bit about what you do here at DYCD?
I would love to say hello and tell you what I do. And I want to say that I am a program manager at DYCD, Runaway and Homeless Youth Division. And the way I got this job actually is I was a youth count coordinator for 2 years. So I do have some comments and questions about some of that info that you gave us there on those slides vis-a-vis what we learned through youth count. So I might be asking you to refer back to those slides once I refer to my slide, what I have here, because I'm not sure about those numbers too much. Although I will say that, yes, youth homelessness and the amount of youth that are experiencing homelessness or houselessness, because home is not always, a place that you live. It could be, your family or what you consider home, but they're definitely experiencing being unstably housed. You're trying to take me off video. I'm not feeling that. So, but yes, I am a program manager, and I have I oversee contracts with several of the transitional independent living sites, some of the drop-in centers that we have in the city, and also some of the crisis centers that we have in the city. And with the rest of my team, we just make sure that those things are up and running and doing what they're supposed to be doing properly and serving the youth. And so that's kind of what we're on, and that's what type of time I'm on. And so if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to try to answer them as best I can.
Great. Mike, you're up next, our next guest.
Yes, wonderful. All right. So we love to share the mic with DYCD folks. So we're glad that Yolanda is here, and we're glad that our next presenter, is a panelist, is with us as well. So it's my pleasure to introduce Melissa Coppenhofer, who is the Senior Program Director of Youth and Family Services for Core Services. So Melissa, why don't you please tell our audience a little about yourself?
Hi there, Melissa Coppenhofer, as you said, and as you also said, I'm the Senior Program Director of Youth and Family Services for Core Services Group. Core Services Group is a nonprofit human services and community development organization. At Core, I oversee 8 family with children shelters, 1 supportive housing program, and 5 DYCD programs, 4 of which are temporary independent living programs for youth ages 16 to 21, and 1 which is a homeless young adult program for individuals between the ages of 21 and 24.
All right, Jerry, bring it on home.
You got it. And so We have two fascinating young men right now from Lighthouse, and I'm going to start off with Travion Bell from Lighthouse 5. If you would just tell us a little something about yourself, Travion.
Well, hello, good night, everyone. My name is Travion. I am currently a resident at Lighthouse 5. I'm also working at UPS as a commercial driver, and that's one of myself. I'm just goofy. That's it.
Nice. Nice. All right. Thank you for that. And then our next amazing young man, we have David De Los Santos from Lighthouse 1. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing great, I guess. I'm here representing Lighthouse One, and that's about it. I'm kind of a little speechless.
There's not about any fun fact about you, or you good?
I mean, I've been like getting back into my music, my guitar playing, I guess I'd say.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Scott, where you want to go with it?
Do we have one more young person? Don't we have Jermaine?
Do we have Jermaine?
No, I thought there was one more young person. No, that's it. Okay, so we'll go right ahead. I thought we had three. I want to start with our young guys, Dave and Trayvon. Tell me a little bit. How did you all time to be able to get to these locations for housing for yourself? Can you tell us a little about your stories? Dave, I'll start with you first.
Thank you. So I was 17. I was suffering 3 years of domestic violence from maternal relatives. I had been living there because of my mother's tragic passing when I was like 14 years old. When I left, I had no idea where to go. I spent like about 10 days in the street, and I was able to I asked for information. I was referred to RHY at the door, and they referred me to Streetworks overnight. And it's been an on and off thing, but I eventually went back to Streetworks overnight and got referred to Lighthouse One, and I've been here since February of this year.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us. I really appreciate that. Trayvon?
Yes, please.
Tell us a little about how you got to Lighthouse.
Well, how we got to Lighthouse was a whole journey. It's the fact that I came all the way from Barbados due to discrimination, and I was telling one of my mom's friends. They had a job opportunity in Tennessee. I decided, I want to be in New York, but they had to go. I was living in Jersey at the time. So he left, went to Tennessee. I didn't have nowhere to go. So while I was in New Jersey, I was doing my GED program at the door in New York City, and I went into RHY. I was telling them that the situation of what's going to happen. He's going to Tennessee. I want to stay in New York. They were like, okay, this is like a crisis. That's what they say. And they hooked me up with Streetworks overnight. I went into Streetworks. I stayed there for like two weeks and a half. I was transferred over to Lighthouse 3, where I spent like 6 months. Yeah, 6 months. Then after that, I transferred over to Lighthouse 5. And tomorrow is going to be a year out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I just want once again, I'm really interested in you young guys, your stories. Was it really easy to make the transition into this program, or?
Well, the transition was actually, I went really, well, it was a hit or miss for me because the lane was long. The bed was full, and it was just luck because someone did something, got, a violation that was there to be out. And then Mr. Salgado just got in contact with me and was like, they want because we're afraid it. It was a good little process. So I don't know.
Dave?
It was a quite lengthy process. I had actually gotten out of the shelter system with an unstable situation, which went all wrong, and then I ended up going back to the overnight. Um, it was a long process. I had returned to Streetworks overnight sometime around December of last year. I It took like a little under 3 months for me to get employed, and I actually at the same week I was sent to Lighthouse One, and I mean it's been a pretty seamless transition as far as I'm concerned.
So Melissa, what's the steps needed for a young person who may be watching this to say, hey, listen, I'm getting ready to find myself in a situation and I need to be in one of these lighthouses or a place of safety. Can you give us some suggestions of what they need to do?
Of course. So, as David and Travion said, they went through RHY, right? So that means that they went to an overnight program. And from the overnight program, so these programs, they stay overnight, and during the day, you know, they're out of the facility doing other things that they need to do. But this is not a 20. It's open for them always, but it's not 24 hours as the lighthouses are. To give us a short, quick explanation of them. So they're overnight programs, right? And from the overnight program, they were referred to our lighthouses, right? Which are the TIL programs, the temporary independent living programs. So that's one way that the youth can be referred to a TIL program. And of course, another way is to reach out to Core Services Group, which is the organization that I work for, and we take referrals through the corporate office. And we send the referral to the program director of any one of the 5 lighthouses, depending on the individual's age and gender or, you know, identification. And then the program directors then interview them to see, you know, if they're a good fit for the site.
So Melissa, I apologize. You know, us as government workers, we using all these letters and numbers of things. What is RHY and what is TIL?
It's very easy to get caught up in this kind of alphabet soup.
So
Yeah, not
for us
everyone knows
novice
what
who
we're
don't
talking about.
understand it, what do some of those letters mean?
You are 100% right. Sorry that the acronyms get to me sometimes. So RHY is Runaway and Homeless Youth, right? TIL is Temporary Independent Living Program. And then there's HYA, which is Homeless Young Adult.
So with that, Yolanda, tell us about RHY. Yolanda?
I'm here. I'm trying to get my mic going. So TIL, as we call it, is transitional independent living. You're transitioning into living independently. Okay, so that can be anywhere from up to 24 months. So it's up to 2 years you can stay there. The way that we usually would talk about the runaway and homeless youth continuum and the programs that we have to call it an ideal world, it's not really an ideal world, but in a typical situation, if you were to follow all the steps that we have put into place logically, you would start perhaps like at a drop-in center. We have 24-hour drop-in centers. We have one in every borough, which was an innovation and initiative of our program, of our Assistant Commissioner, Randy. And Randy Scott. So he made sure that we had one 24-hour drop-in center in every borough, so that if you're in Staten Island and all of a sudden you get into a fight with your parents or something, or for whatever reason you're not feeling that you can stay where you are and feel unstably housed, you can go to a drop-in center 24 hours, and they have all kinds of resources, that you can take advantage of. And they'll do an intake process on you, and they may find that you can go to which would be the next step, which is a crisis center, which you can stay at for 60 to 120 days. And there you can get, let's say you lost your IDs, you can go, or you left your IDs and no one's going to give them to you. They can help you. The case managers there will help you get your IDs back. or they have all sorts of work programs that you can learn how to write your resume and find work, or get an OSHA certification, and they all have different ones, okay? And then after that time is up, if you still haven't found that you are 100% where you need to be, or the way that your individual service plan is going, maybe you're saying, I'm not ready yet to move on to an apartment yet. Or a room with a roommate, something like that, then you would go to Transitional Independent Living, the TILs. And there you have, again, support, a case manager. You meet with your case manager weekly, every other week, whatever they decide. And you keep working towards your goals, whether that be education, whether that be employment. And, you know, obviously we're always going to be trying to find housing, and there's supportive housing. There's all different kinds of housing there's all different there's all different sort of housing that you can get. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're just going to go and get your own apartment, right? You can do something that you'll have help with. And of course, we're there the whole step of the way, making sure that our youth are loved and taken care of and feel valued and are getting the things that they deserve.
That's great. So we have some people that I know are viewing through YouTube, and I think on Facebook. I think just YouTube this time. We have a chat. If you have some questions that you have for one of the panelists or somebody, please drop your questions into the chat, and we will try to get them on as soon as possible. So, Mike and Jerry, you have any questions?
Yeah, I actually have a question for the young man, and I'll start with and then make my way to Travion. I think the first question, we hear the numbers. Scott brought up some really big numbers. You guys shared a little bit of your story. And the question is, how easy was it or quick was it that you found yourself not having a place to stay versus how difficult it might have been for you to find shelter or navigate that process of finding a place to stay? So how quick was that? Oh my gosh, I woke up and I have nowhere to go. And then speak to that space and time of, okay, how hard or not it was maybe to find housing and find yourself into Lighthouse.
I think in regards to me realizing that I had nowhere to go, it was like a shock. You know, it depends on the situation, but in my personal case, I felt like I had nowhere to go. I was in a panic, and it is a lot more immediate of a response that you notice that you have nowhere to go versus actually finding it, because there's an initial kind of adrenaline kind of realization. There's also that worry. I think it was a lot harder for me to actually realize it because I couldn't even come to terms with it at the time.
You're on mute.
I'm on mute. Nothing like the virtual world, right? I want to finish off with you, David, before I pass it to Travion. How hard did you find it getting it into Lighthouse? Or maybe it wasn't hard, but if you could do some things different, you would have switched it up a little bit.
I think what made it was pretty seamless. It did take 3 months. I think it all had to do with the things I was trying to work on at the moment. If I could change something, it would be more to focus on myself. I get where you meet a lot of good people, maybe some shady individuals. It depends on where you are, but generally speaking, I wish I could have more focused on myself and not kind of steer to the crowd. But nonetheless, I mean, it was easy.
Got you. And Travion, what was that like for you? Was it immediate, that moment you realized, wow, I don't have a place to go? And then what that look like for you getting into Lighthouse yourself?
It was a shock. And it was definitely in panic. I was like, what the heck? It was like, they really just told him, I have somewhere to go, and they're doing. So it was like, all right, so you really got to pick up your stuff and get yourself ready and let you know, look, you have to find somewhere to go. You don't want to see trains, all this stuff. You don't know what's what. So that's when they reached, oh, to the archway dropped in at the door and they hooked me up, which was very quick, which I was shook. I thought it would have been like a whole long process. It's like, so it was very quick. Then for me to, I applied to, I think when I was in Streetworks, when I got over there, they sent a referral out to Lighthouse 3. No one didn't reply, get back anything, not knowing that they didn't send off the email as yet. So I went back to the door and I was having a conversation with my case manager, which was Maria Barbo. And she was like, we're going to send one personally from her end. When she sent that, I got a reply instantly. And it was like, can you come in for an interview on Friday? I was like, yeah, Friday? Well, right now I'm in class. I got class, etc. So I skipped class. I talked to my teacher about it. She was like, okay, she understand the condition. All this time I was still staying at my mom's friend. He was like, you sure you got somewhere? I was like, yes, 100%. But he was dragging it. He just like, he didn't want he was like, he wanted to be sure, like he wants some proof that I got somewhere to go. So I was like, I'm good. But I wasn't. So then when I went to the interview, I was there for like a whole hour and change. Before you get to see Mr. Salgado. I was on the urge also because at that time I was frustrated. I was hopeless. And I was like, you know what? Like he said to get here for 1:30. I'm here at 1:29. 1:30 is going, it's about to be 2:30. I was like, what to do? So I was about to take up my stuff. And he was like, Trey, want to see in the room? It was like in between 2 minutes, like, Jay just leave and left him hanging at the store. So he went and he said, talk to him. And we had a pretty interesting conversation. He asked me stuff about myself. And I told him everything. He asked me sexuality, all this stuff. Told him he was telling me how the program works. And I got lost track of the room. I was so excited. I was like, oh, perfect. You come in at what time like this? You come in and leave and then you back in at before curfew. That's awesome. You feel me? So I was so caught up in the moment. But he was like, there's a lane. I was like, there's a lane. He was like, yes, like our 6th or 7th applicant. He was like, wow. I was like, okay. He said, well, when there's a bed available, I will get in contact with you. So right there was like, all right, cool, no problem, whatever. But I was still in panic. It was like there was 6, 7 to 8 people who was me to be lucky to just get choose randomly. So they say that when they got back to school, it finished very quickly. When they got back, I went straight into class. When they finished, I went to RHY for a little time before I went to Streetworks. And then Maria got it, and it was like, oh, can Trayvon, move in by Saturday? It was like, that was quick. It just happened like a bam, bam, bam. You feel me? And it was like, because I was expected to literally drag a long period of time. It just happened like bam, bam, bam. Okay, so he just moved out. And I told him to have a safe time on his journey to Tennessee. And we should meet again. And he was like, okay, cool. It was actually kind of an easy road for me. Or even though it was panicking, but it was easy for me.
I'm glad you both made it through that. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. I think you were about to say something.
Both of you guys, in your own way, you're very charismatic and very passionate about sharing your stories. And I'm going to go to Trevion and then back to David. One of the things, Trevion, you mentioned is that you're from Barbados. And that touched me too. I got a lot of family. I'm a Bayesian Yankee myself, right? So New York is a city of immigrants, and so I'm curious to know. You talked about this transition to getting to where you guys are living, but were there like cultural transitions that you had to adapt to have your life be working out in the way that it's working out? Like, is there anything from coming from Barbados to here that was culture shock, or anything that you have kind of drawn upon to? So tell us a little bit about that, and then David, I'd like you to think about that part of your life experience so far that you can share with us.
Right. So when I first arrived to New York, I was so excited. I was like, yo, I'm going to be living in New York, etc. Big height, big apple, lights to see, everything. And then when I got here, and it was just like, the person I ride the train from the airport seeing people on the train, you know, begging for money, all this stuff. It was like, this is art. This is not what I see on TV. Because we're a small island. Like, you want to go by what is shown on TV or like what is shown on the ground. You feel me? So it was like, yeah, cool. Get off of the subway. There's people sleeping. People who was like females who are pregnant. And it's actually sad. I'm a very kind of hearted person. And like everybody felt some type of way. And it was like, wow, like she's 16, 17, 18. Like, you feel like she don't have somewhere to go. Like people just gonna walk past her without, you know, helping her or anything. And to be like, just see people walking and just be like, gun their heads in their phone, I got their heads straight. It just like to do something. And it was like, wow, like y'all never been in this position or anything. Like, mind you, I had somewhere to stay. You feel me? And it was like, wow, then to find myself end up like that, but not on the street. It was just like, this is New York. It was like, gotta deal with it. You know? That was that. And the other thing I had to adapt with is switching my accent to an American accent so people can understand certain things I'm saying, which was very difficult. So yes.
Okay. What would you want to share with the group, David? Is there anything about your culture or your family background that has been an asset to you now, or anything that with what you have had to go through has been kind of a shock to you?
There was a huge change. I mean, the first time I had transitioned into the shelter system, I was a recent high school senior. It was a lot of changes in my life. I was also a legal orphan, so that didn't help out the situation. Um, I think there was just like a lot of turmoil when it came to everything. You know, I wasn't used to the environment. You realize, however, it's an eye opener when you realize how many people are in the shelter system that are under the age of 21, and you know you're really shocked with how many people you meet, you come across, and I think the main change for me was just kind of mentally and emotionally, just like realization, and also just realizing that there's a lot more things that you have to take responsibility of. And I think it's different for every person, but that's just how I had to adapt first entering into the system.
Okay. You know, keying off of that, I wanted to direct one of the question to, I guess, to Melissa first, but you know, Yolanda, you may have some insights too. As the young men are talking about some of the cultural challenges and some of the cultural shock that they've gone through, there's all this logistical stuff to help someone get into a new housing situation. But how has your program helped young people in terms of mental health, in terms of, you know, keeping their spirits, you know, buoyed throughout the process, even when it does go quickly? Like Travion said, some of the steps happen more quickly. There's still some anxiety, I imagine. You're waiting to hear back from people. You don't know how long things are going to take. How does the program, what are the supports that the programs offer to try to help someone when they're going through what's obviously a really stressful situation in a city that can be really stressful, you know, even when you have a lot of supports in place already?
Okay, well, one thing I can say that Core likes to implement is taking it, the steps that we take are holistic, right? We're not just addressing their homeless problem. We're addressing all of their problems, right? So we have social workers at all of our lighthouses, right? They're licensed social workers who can engage these youth, assess them for what their needs are, be it mental health, be it behavioral, be it community resource needs, right? And then we, as an agency, we make linkage agreements with community organizations, because our understanding is that eventually these youth will be in the community and we want them to be connected to their community. So this could be, if we identify, you know, behavior and mental health concerns, we refer them to a mental health or behavioral health provider in the community, or any other concerns, you know, be it like if They come and they're undocumented, referring them to, legal resources for, immigration or any other resources that they may need. And then, of course, in-house, we do workshops with them all the time so that they can obtain independent living skills and that they become a resource to one another. So they have groups and they have workshops.
Mike, I want to piggyback off of that and actually start with Melissa and then make my way down to the boys. What's a part of the conversation that may not be on the script that you give to anybody coming in until they receive housing? So what is that? Here's a golden nugget while you're in the gap of not having a place to be that you want to call home versus, okay, here's temporary housing. What does that conversation look like?
Well, the conversation starts with the fact that you are an individual, right? What works for someone else may not work for you. So let's help you create your independent dream, right? So this is where, the assessments come into play. And we see what will be fitting for that individual, right? Some youth, they come and they say, listen, all I want to do is I want to get a job and I want to get an apartment, all right? So what do we need to do to work with you to get a job, all right? It may not be college that you want. It may be, it may be a back to work program to get a certificate in something to just get a job so that you can afford your apartment. Let's do that for you. Or maybe right now you're not looking to just get an apartment. You want to go away to school. Let's look at how you're doing. Do you have your GED? If not, let's work towards you getting that. Let's get you your associate's program so that you can work on getting your grades up so that we can get you into a college for you to go away to. So it's individualizing that plan for them and then helping them take the steps toward that plan so that they can successfully exit.
Nice. You're dropping some gems right now for everybody listening. I actually want to bring this now to David, and again, I'll make my way to Trevion. David, you talked about 3 months. You were waiting to find housing, what that looks like. What did you do, whether it was faith-based, whether it was words of encouragement? How did you hold on or just build up your resiliency until you got housing? What did that look like for you in that 3-month period? David, we lost you. I don't see David. So then I'll pitch that to Trevion. I know yours was a little bit quicker, and you had said you were staying by friends or families.
Yeah.
What was that mental toll until you got your own?
Pardon me?
What was that mental toll until you got your own? Like, how did you hold on to your own level of resiliency until you got your own space with Lighthouse?
Just stay focused. Know where you're going. All right, for instance, let's say, you're able to be, excuse my French, you're able to be asked out. So you gotta stay focused on that. Don't go out partying, don't go doing this, and you know that this person is leaving and you don't have no way to stay. These friends is not putting you up in their apartment or anything. So you gotta stay focused. That's the best thing I did for myself to get around that.
Nice. And David, I see you were able to jump back in. How did you manage your 3 months until you got housing?
In regards to entering the till.
That's right.
I'm not really sure. I mean, could you repeat the? Sorry,
Nah, not a problem. It was just, how did you manage your own mental health? How did you manage making it from I don't have a place to stay to now I'm at the till? That I remember you mentioned like a 3-month period where it was tough. How did you manage that tough period?
I think it was a really, really hard struggle for me personally because there was a lot of emotional things I was going through, mental health that wasn't easy. So I think it was just a matter of taking it step by step, and like it took some time. I was trying to focus on smaller aspects and like smaller tasks, trying to get things controlled or maybe settled before I could even like transition. It was just a constant basis of meeting up with my case manager at Streetworks before I got transferred to Lighthouse One. So I mean, it was just a matter of like taking it slow, but I still had some distractions along the way. Oh, and before I go further, the third youth that was supposed to be in the chat, he's right here. Say hi.
Awesome.
Hi,
What's going on? What's going on?
hi. My name is Amor.
Yeah.
Hi, my
Did
name
we
is
lose the
Amor.
audio? Oh, welcome.
So
Glad
I
you
have
had
a,
it. Yeah, go
I have
ahead,
a
Take a
Scott.
minute to
question.
introduce yourself, young man.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Tell us about yourself. Tell us a little about your situation and how you got here.
Um, my name is Amor. I play soccer, and I go to school. You know, I live right here almost 8 months right now. So I like here. They help me like for everything. You know, I like my case manager and all people work right here. So they help me like to get my English bearing. You know, so and I wanna be in the future. I wanna be a soccer professional soccer player. So that's all I think.
I got a question from the chat from Gordon Jackson. The
Mm-hmm.
question is for the Lighthouse Youth. What message would you give other young people who are contemplating making the decision to access these services?
That's for us, right? The question's for us.
Yes.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Okay, this is coming from Gordon Jackson.
Okay.
He said, "What message would you give to young people who are contemplating making the decision to access these services?"
Same thing as Miss K said. Irish way. You're gonna go to drop in. They're gonna help you to get into this program. On top of that, when you come into this program, you want to be on your A game. This is no, we're gonna stay here until I'm 24 or 20, until I'm aged out. You have to be on your A game. Are you able to be at school to work towards that goal of yours? When you're able to get your job, also get a credit card just in case to build your credit, just in case that voucher doesn't work out. You want to be able to do all that stuff. As I said, the main thing is to be on your A game when you come. That's it. After you, David.
All right. Thanks, Travion. Nice to see you again. Uh, in regards to uh, the whole, anyone who's coming into the shelter process, yes, I do agree 100% with Travion. Unfortunately, not everyone is at that same moment. I think personally, my advice would be uh, start taking things a little like slow. Try to. This is not you know to like play around here because nobody that is in the shelter system is here because they want to. Unfortunately, not everyone is in the best situation, and I think prioritizing what needs to be done first is uh, is something that you should take very seriously because you could find a lot of individuals that can sidetrack you. But if you put your mind to it and you are able to like do small tasks at a normal pace that you can, you will get farther than most people will by trying to multitask if you're not good at multitasking. And you'll get far. I will say that. Just like Travion said, be on your A game. That was just it. You can go. You want to talk? Yeah, yeah. No,
You want me to
uh, no, you can talk.
You have something you're going to say? You're going to add something?
You want to
you
add
want me
something?
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
So I,
So
so I have a question for, I guess, Melissa or Yolanda. With COVID happening right now, have you all seen the uptick in the number of young people coming in, needing services, or it's basically No, the same old, same old.
We have seen that the contracts, all the programs have a contract and they're supposed to hit a 90% bed utilization, right? So that means if they have 10 beds at any given time, they're supposed to have 9 of those beds filled. And we're finding as COVID has gone, once it started, we never stopped at DYCD RHY working and continuing to do all the things that we did before we began working from home. And we have found that programs seem to be having something of a hard time. I will say, I'd like to big up Lighthouse 5, which they have 100%. They have 100% bed utilization rate at this time, 15 out of 15. But I don't know if it's possibly because people are feeling, if someone's couch surfing or something, maybe they would say in regular situations, like if you're not working or if you're not doing this, then you can't stay here. There may be allowing them to stay despite the fact that they're not able to work or they're not able to contribute financially, or maybe they don't want to kind of like put someone out. Maybe if there's a family struggle, as you start to see that people are really being affected by this COVID-19 in really adverse ways, maybe people are keeping their kids closer to them. I'm not 100% sure. We can't really pinpoint the reason why, but I have noticed that we do have, our programs are having a hard time filling those beds with youth, where normally that 90% would be not a problem whatsoever, or something just a tiny bit below 86%, maybe 7 kids are in the bed at that time instead of 10 or 9. So, I'm not 100% sure why, but I do feel that COVID has, it hasn't caused more youth to come into our programs. And I feel like our program, or maybe kids are worried about coming into a program where they're going to be, living in somewhat close quarters with other people. I don't know, but I do think that our programs do a great job of, I'm frozen. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're fine. Keep going.
Okay, because my video is frozen in a really unpleasant picture. I'm taking my video off. Okay, here we go.
We hear you just fine. I don't see your video right now. I see your name across the screen, but I hear you great.
It's frozen. So, I also find, I think that our programs are doing a wonderful job of making sure that our kids are very safe, as they always do. And in addition to that, DYCD has provided all of the programs from drop-in centers to TILs to crisis centers with PPE and a lot of the supplies that they need. And they also obviously have their own budgets to pick up those things. So if anybody feels nervous or maybe wondering, should I stay in a situation where I'm not happy to go into a situation that I don't know, I can tell you, you will find yourself in a wonderful, caring, home-like environment if you go to any of our RHY, anything in the RHY continuum, from a drop-in center to a crisis center, such as Covenant House, all the way to a TIL, all the way to an HYA for 21 to 24-year-old youth. It's a wonderful environment. We check and make sure that it's home-like, that it's loving, that it's caring, and that everyone is doing what they can, as Melissa said, looking at each individual as a person and as a unique individual, and making sure that they get the things that they need in order to succeed and move forward. Because I personally would love to see the DYCD RHY unit obliterated and not have a DYCD RHY unit. That would be my goal at some point. But as long as we're still up and running, I think that we've been doing, our programs have been doing a fantastic job. And so big up to those programs.
So I got another question from the chat room, and it's basically asking, what about youth who are undocumented? Are they available to get into these situations also?
Absolutely, 100%. Only criteria, can you hear me?
Yes, you can. You're good.
Yes,
yeah, you're good.
The only criteria for entering into an RHY program is your age, and that the program that you're entering into identifies with the gender that you have that you identify with. So therefore, if you identify as a female, you would go to a female gender, female TIL or program. And you know, we do also have specializations for youth who have been affected by commercial sexual exploitation of children and trafficking. And we also have those programs that cater to LGBTQ, although anyone can go to these programs, but some programs specialize in different youth. But as long as you meet those two criteria, you are absolutely welcome to come and take part in our services. And of course, they're going to help you as best they can to move forward with becoming a documented citizen with a job and everything that or education or whatever that you feel that you need to move forward and be successful.
Scott, I actually want to sit there for a second. Can I ask a question real quick?
Good.
I'm gonna take that as a go ahead. All right, awesome. This is really to Melissa, and then I also want to bring it down to the young men. So speaking to what Yolanda was talking about, and then going back to Scott's chart, right? I can't help but notice the large discrepancy of homelessness between females and males, right? And so why do you think that is? Why do you think it comes across, in your expert opinion, what does that look like? And then I'm gonna ask the young men on the ground level, why do they think that is? So starting with you, Melissa.
I very much feel that it is a loaded question. Why do I feel that there's a discrepancy between men and women? How about I'll start with, I notice that there's a big discrepancy between ethnicities, right? I'll start with that. And I feel that that has to do with mental health and accessibility to mental health providers, right? So I feel in neighborhoods where the situation may be considered well off, there are a lot of mental health providers, and there is less of a stigmatization about mental health engagement, right? I think a lot of times what you see are individuals who may have untreated mental health, and they wind up in the shelter system. When perhaps if they had been engaged with mental health, that barrier would have been addressed and it would have prevented them winding up there. So that's my opinion on what the discrepancy between race is. Between male and female, I would believe it's a little bit of that as well. And I want to say it's a mixture about ethnicity and behavioral health. My opinion is that amongst individuals of color, especially those who are young, are males, they are looked at of a lens as being always exhibiting poor behavior. And there perhaps may not be a viewpoint of why that behavior is poor, what is afflicting that young male of color. Rather, they are just labeled as problems. And instead of those problems being solved, they are ignored, and it affects them from a young age educationally, it affects them socially. And we know those are two things that you need to thrive. And if those matters aren't addressed, you wind up having a lack of education, a lack of employment, and therefore potentially winding up in the shelter system. So in short, I feel that educationally and societally, more could be done for young men, especially those of color, so that as adults, they are enabled to become, success.
Awesome. I think that was powerful. And I want to bring it to the young men, David,
before you do that, I just wanted to key off of that, but I want to hand it right back to you. So, Yolanda, I don't remember if this was in the Times, but I remember someone just today circulated an article recently that as disruptive and hard as the pandemic has been for New York City and everywhere else, a lot of parents of color are saying that they like the virtual environment because they're able to hear directly how the teachers are speaking to their kids. And it also is helping them better shield their children from some of the microaggressions or little incidents that are racist incidents that happen, like behavioral stuff. If your son twitches and they're like, shut it down, be quiet, whereas another kid's like can't sit still and they're just letting it go. So I had a very strong reaction just reading that, because you think we want to get everybody back to school, and we do, and we want everyone to be safe, and we do, but what you hit on so much stuff right now where people are very worried about microaggressions, how they're perceived, how they travel in situations before they even show up. So it's bigger than homelessness, right? But homelessness homelessness plays right into this dynamic. So is there anything you wanted to build or add on to that, Yolanda? And then I want to give it back to Jerry.
Well, I would say I think you're absolutely right, and I think that people are seeing, how some of these rules that are, I don't even understand why these rules are in place. Like, they don't make sense, and they do seem to be draconian at some points. Like, why are you even making them? But I would say, as far as our programs, I think that our programs, they do their own hiring. DYCD, we don't have anything to do with the hiring or anything like that. And I do think that they make a real effort to, try to get people who are compassionate and who understand, the whole person and really want to help. And so, as I said, our programs are continuing. They are 24/7. Except for some of the drop-in centers. Crisis, for the most part, pulls in people at any time of night and day or night. And so I just think that we haven't changed anything. And we have the youth are able and are well informed about if there's a problem with anybody that's working with them. If they have a grievance, they can call 311. There's a line specifically for those youth that goes directly to my director at RHY, and she goes through those complaints personally and comes to whomever and does whatever needs to be done. And then I've also gotten emails myself where they said, oh, I don't have an air conditioner. I've been asking for an air conditioner. I'm burning up. And that came to me, I guess, because one time I went there and I said, oh, well, here's my email address. And they took that, those youth feel empowered to take that upon themselves and send me an email. And I said, oh, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to be in here. I don't want to be hot in my house, and these are their homes. And so let's get these kids an air conditioner so they can be cool in the middle of summer. And so they are aware of that they have power in their homes to get the things that they need. And I'm hoping that they do take advantage of that and they don't allow anybody to, talk to them any kind of way or treat them any kind of way because they're experiencing homelessness. Because to me, once you get an until, you're no longer experiencing homelessness. That's your home and you're working towards another situation. It's just like living at home with your parents or something like that. You're not 100% able to support yourself yet. But, you're at home. You're not experiencing homelessness anymore. You're working towards getting there, getting to, and everybody needs help sometimes. So I don't want to hear anybody about anybody talking to our youth in no kind of crazy way, as if because they're experiencing homelessness, there's some sort of deficit in their character. There's a deficit in your character if you don't think that you can come upon hard times too, because that can happen to anybody. Before the grace of God go I, as they say. So that's my feelings on that. I know I've seen this with the schools, and I can't sit up here and say that there's not one person in any of our programs that might be talking crazy out the side of their neck. I can't say that, but I will say that the youth are aware that they can file a grievance and file a complaint, and we take that very seriously at DYCD RHY. And best believe people who have done that have found themselves looking for employment elsewhere.
So I have another question from the chat. It's from David Cyphers, I believe. I have Trump's last name, or David C. So youth in care often faced with homelessness unfortunately, would they also be able to utilize these services? So kids who are in care, are they able to use these services also?
When you're saying in care, you're talking about in foster care?
Well, I'm reading what he says. It says youth in care. So I'm pretty sure, I believe he's talking about kids in foster care that may not want to stay in their foster care situations, I'm gathering, and want to try to use this as an alternative to being in foster care. That's how I'm gathering the question.
They can, as depending on the age, because if they're too young, they're going to have to get some sort of permission if they're under the ages that we serve. But again, if you are within the ages and you are experiencing homelessness, which could be even that you ran away from some place that you don't feel is a good environment for you, then yes, you are eligible to receive our services.
Do you do any cross-checking back with like ACS or any the organizations?
Yes, absolutely. There are many youth that their case manager is in constant contact with an ACS case manager that the youth already has. So for whatever reason, if they decide they need to leave, I'm not 100% knowledgeable on this, but I do know that we do have kids who have an ACS worker and also have a case manager, and they're living either in a crisis center or in the TIL. But the younger you are, this is less of an opportunity for you, right? And obviously ACS, their goal is going to be, our goal is too, family reunification. But our goal sometimes less family reunification because it gets to a point where, that's not possible. And so we're going towards, okay, let's not push this for an older youth to go, back to the family that's not supporting them.
Dave said thank you for that. So, okay. So let me ask this question. I know we're talking about youth. So what happens when the youth or somebody comes in who's right at that brink? I believe the age to age out of these services are 20, 24 and a half, 25. Am I correct?
Yes.
I see some head shakings. Yes, I guess. Okay. So when someone is aging out, so someone who hasn't turned 25 can come into getting services up to the 25, and then what happens after that?
Well, so I will say this: we at the lighthouses, we work extremely hard with the youth to make sure that they don't wind up without a plan by the time it is for them to exit, right? So how I always speak to the case managers and the program directors is that at the very least, and I consider that to be late, by month 6, where they're going to age out or time out, we need to have a solid plan of what this youth is going to do, right? What this youth plan is. At all points, we motivate the youth to be engaged in something. It could be school, it could be work, but there has to be a meaningful plan by the time that they age out or time out, that there is something for them to do, permanency, right? So for the males, who are in, we have 2 male programs for individuals between the ages of 16 and 21. They age out and they turning 21. We have another male program that they can go to. So that answers the question. Let's say they come into our program and in a month they're going to turn 21. We would refer them to our 5th program, which is for individuals between the ages of 21 and 25.
Well, okay. And yeah, Yolanda, the numbers probably seem very high that I showed, and I want to say it made reference to mostly older men, because usually older men, once they turn 25, if they haven't gotten their act together and they haven't have something stable housing, and I know working with older fathers that I work with, a lot of them are living with a young lady or the child's mother, but their name is not on the lease, and so at any given time, any point, they can be said, okay, you need to leave, and once again, they are automatically homeless. So anything we can talk to even young guys as they venture out into the world about having your own, having your name on a piece of property that you can call your own. And that maybe is something that we don't even talk to young men about. And they're so used to living at home with mom for many years, living home with dad, and they haven't established their own. I think Travion said, like, your own credit, you having your credit card, so you can show that I have a credit established. Anyone want to jump in on that?
Well, I would just say that I think that it's I almost feel like it's going to be very difficult when you're struggling, kind of like what Melissa talked about, some mental health issues, maybe not being accepted by your family because of LGBTQ issues, to then say, okay, get your own place. Like, I think our thing, in most of the programs that I work with is like, let's get you regulated, right? Let's get you stabilized into something. And, then they do have, as Melissa also mentioned, workshops. They have all sorts of financial literacy workshops, and they have things from the drop-in center all the way through the tills, of what specifically each youth, what the group might need. And I mean, everybody obviously wants to have something stable that they can call their own, but I think that and that is important, and I think it's important to talk about that, but it's also important to kind of understand that in New York City, where it's very hard to even just make it, and I was going to lose my apartment at one time. So, my lease was, they were playing with me. So, you just, I think that just to stay the course and just try to do your best and get your mental health together and get something stable in terms of employment and things like that is extremely important. And then hopefully that will then lead to something much more stable and possibly something that you can say, well, this is mine. But you also have to say, if you're not making enough money to live on your own, you might need a roommate. At age 24, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that you might need a roommate, right? So I just, it's close to each individual person. And yes, we should talk about the importance of that, but it's also like, let's be realistic in terms of, what you need to do. If you want to have your own place, you're going to have to save, right? And these programs do help them to save because they're not paying rent. So they do encourage them to put a nice chunk of savings away, because you're not paying rent, you're not paying for your food. And we all know that's most of what we spend our money on. So, yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know if Travion is still here, but he works for UPS. Travion, tell us a little bit about, I mean, are you able to save money living there at the till?
Yes, I'm able to. That's all. Just want to, yes or no, you want me to continue?
Well, I want to Tyrion, I want to ask, are you going through any type of or any of the guys, any financial training, how to save, how to budget, how to, manage your money? I know sometimes we don't teach our generations how to handle money in that way.
I already know how to budget. I already know how to save. So I never really had to get that trade from here. But that's basically it.
Any other gentlemen?
Pardon me?
Dave?
Yeah.
The other young men, this idea of how you're saving and budgeting, it's really important, I think, for everyone who's listening to think about how to get started with this.
All right. Not to cut anyone off, but I want to start off with this. All right. So with savings, I'm not gonna say how much I make. Let's say, for instance, if you're making 1,000 a week, let's say you're making 1,000 a week, the most you want to why are you laughing? The most you want to put away, to be honest, the most you want to put away, but before you put away, you gotta know, well, if you're in this program, they cover metric cards, they cover laundry, they cover food. But if you decide you want to go sit and eat, you gotta know how much you're gonna spend. You know what I mean? You gotta know how much you're gonna spend within a month, so you will know what this is how much you're gonna put on one, say for a week. What else? Sometimes you might not be. Sometimes you might not catch public transportation. You might want to get an Uber, because you're working for this big amount of money, so you want floss. You understand? So like, I put some of that one side also. But that's if me how to save. I would say also is like if I make $1,000 a week, the most I put in my savings is 900. No problem. The most I put in my savings is 900. I have 100 to play with. Sometimes like if I won't really use up all of it, but if I left with $50 and I get paid in next week, I will put 50 into my checkings and the rest into my savings. I'm not going to put an extra 100 there to spend. I'm going to put 50. So your checkings will always be 100 to play with, and whatever else goes into your savings. That's how I save. I think that you should suggest that for anybody else. That's the best way to do it.
But I want to go back. I know Mike was trying to reiterate on it, but just understanding how to manage money, I think it's something culturally we have to work on very hard, and we need to be very mindful culturally how to invest money. There's a saying that you can find more Cadillac and Mercedes in the project than in upstate New York, in Westchester. But I think sometimes we, as a people, we use our money inappropriately and not. I know you say with your scenario of saving 900. Once again, just what it costs to even put down as a down payment, and I'm not even sure what the average minimum safe housing situation would even run. I'm guessing anywhere between $800 to $1,500 a month, and for a young person to having to manage that on a regular basis. Right now, you don't have to pay rent, so but when you aged out and you got to that point where can you manage to figure out how to pay between? I'm saying like as a homeowner, forget it. But I'm thinking like a small 1-bedroom apartment in New York City may cost anywhere between $800 to $1,500 a month, and I believe I'm close. I haven't rented a small place in a long time, but how would you manage that?
Scott, can I jump in real quick and reframe that question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead.
Awesome. So this is definitely for the young men in the room, and I'm gonna speak from even a personal piece because I remember there was a time where life was really, really hard, and I had to stay in my car. And I remember leaving my car for a couple of weeks, and it was like, in that moment, I told myself I will have a whole bunch of problems, but this will never ever be a problem again. And I made all my energy and effort to make sure that I put certain things in place. I got the right schooling, empowerment, whatever I needed to make sure I never found myself in that situation. I'm gonna spin that back to you guys. And because I know as much as Lighthouse is awesome to you guys, I know in the back of your head, I am never going to be in this situation again. Melissa said it earlier. She said, hey, when we get close to a certain age, we want to make sure we have a solid plan. And I know you guys have been thinking about your plan before that. What does that plan look like for you? And what have you used to get those type of tools, whether it was different stuff? So Travion, you already said, hey, I feel like I got my financial stuff together, but between making sure you know your money is good and how to take care of money and what that looks like, making sure your mind, your mental health is good, making sure that you know who you need to speak to get the next level so you're not in this situation before. What is that empowerment plan for you guys in this current space? And I guess I know Travion, you just spoke, so I'll start off with David, and then I actually want to hear from Amara.
All right, thank you. So in regards to my plan, it's been interesting. My original plan when I first got here, when I first got into the shelter system, was very different from where I am now. At that time, I was a recent high school senior trying to get into college. I did eventually get in, and unfortunately, things derailed. Stuff, bad things happened, and you have to start all over. And then I think there's a lot of like learning when it comes to it, because touching on the whole, touching on savings and such. I was not the most responsible spender in the beginning. I was very non-caring about the money because I thought it would not be much of a worry now that at the time that I had that specific job. when it was a small winter job, whatever. It did not last long, and I started realizing, wow, I need to start picking up the pieces, trying to like learn from my mistakes. So my journey, right, my goals at this moment, like you said, Jerry, that you did, once you got to that moment in your life, you would never want to be there again. So for me, that looks like one, re-entering colleges. I've already decided to apply to four CUNY and two SUNY colleges uh, for different aspects of majors. Uh, I also do plan on like getting a new job since I was recently laid off of Starbucks. My current location is closed because of COVID-19, and it's mainly a tourist location. And even just like working out mental health and eventually support housing. Trying to
Nice.
balance work, school, and housing.
That's real. Thank you for that, David. Amara, what's your plan? What you feel is your next step to set yourself up? You said you wanted to be a soccer player to get to that level. I think your mic is off. You're on mute.
Off?
Here we go.
No. Hello, you hear me? I think like the opportunity for me, I like Lighthouse because like they help me like for everything. You know, they give me like food and metro card, and they help me like wherever I want. They push me like to working hard, focus on school and my soccer team. They always like give me good advice, and I can say all thing. I still want to work on more to get like on my English like better. And if I need anything from here, I ask them like they help me for everything. So I'm so happy like I want to stay here like to get more education, and I gotta focus like on school and my soccer.
That's powerful. Thank you, Amara. Yeah, that's good, man. And Travion, bring how Scott would always say, bring us home. What's your next step? How you see yourself taking it to the next level?
All right, how I see myself taking it to the next level is making sure I got enough savings for a rainy day, just in case I won't end back up in the same situation. That's really actually scary. This is really like one of my biggest fears right now because I don't want to go there and hop into an apartment and then you know something might happen on your job, something might happen, and then like even though you're paying good, you got good credit, whatever it is, they just don't really care. Money is all they want. That's all they care about, and you don't want to find yourself in a position where you can't pay that, and then all the stuff that you bought, the furniture, you're gonna put into a storage, then you're gonna head back into the shopping system. And it's very scary. To be honest, that's one of my biggest fears right now. But I'm gonna get over it. But my biggest goal right now is to be an accountant. So I'm going to college at the MCC. I actually forgot the damn name. At the MCC. So I can't wait till they graduate, finish my 2 or 4 years, one to two, remember, and see where I take it from there. That's it.
Nice. Scott, I give it back to you.
Yeah, and once again, I want to encourage those who are on the chat to keep sending questions, so I can read questions. If you have a question you want to put into the chat, but I also want to go back to the young men again and say, what could we as the older cats who are here make sure that we give out the right information to you so that other young guys won't have to go down the road that you all did, and like some things that you wish I wish somebody would have talked to me about this before I got here.
Life in general. That's it. Life. Just not one side of the story, like that everything is sugar, everything is gold, everything is hot on the gold spoon. No, I want to know the ins and outs. I want to know the bad sides. I want to know everything. So I won't end up in a situation. It's basically it for me.
Mari or Dave, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So it's mainly prioritizing what what you need to focus on first. That's something I did not take seriously when I first got here, like many individuals. I think it's a matter of like realization. Something I would tell those who are coming into the shelter system is don't get focused on distractions. There are many distractions in everyday life. It doesn't matter whether or not you're in the shelter system or not. It's a matter of prioritizing, and that's something that's really, I get it's really hard because you're at the realization that, oh my God, I'm in the shelter system. What do I do? And where do I even start? First, I think ground yourself. You have to come, to realize this, that you're in this specific situation, whatever it is you're going through, and start working little by little to it. Like I realized this very oversaid statement. Rome wasn't built in one day. The same thing goes for anyone's life. You want to start focusing on the things that matter the most because nobody wants to be here forever. You want to stabilize your life, and I think you know, trying to like focus on your goals, maybe like trying to get into like a better position of life where you have that drive, you have that purpose, and nothing really distracts you because you're not sticking with the crowd. You're actually standing out from the crowd, and you're getting far ahead than you ever thought you could. So I think that's pretty much my input from my point of view.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Amari, you're up.
Um, yeah. For me, like I think to be yourself first, like is everything. Work hard, um, get more education. Respect like people. You know, don't do like bad thing. Just like keep going like the good things. Go to school, focus on your school, like find good job and whatever you want. Just like keep working hard before the day come, and don't just give up. I think that's all I can say.
So now I heard all three of you guys say, about work hard and do things. What would you tell your peers who are out there and say, listen, I need this fast money. I need to make this money right away. I can't wait on that. Hey, I can hit the streets and make me some bucks real quickly. How would you tell them, like, listen, that's not the right way to doing it? Now, as they say, easy money is not always long money, and sometimes the slower in being thoughtful about it wins the race in the long run. But a lot of guys in your age group are saying, hey, listen, I want the bling bling, I want this, I want that, and listen, I just want the fast money. And then, as we know, as we get older, the faster you make it, the faster you will spend it, and really won't have anything at the end of the day. So what would you tell your friends, Amari, Dave, or Tanar? What would you tell guys your age? Like, man, you gotta get down there. You gotta put the nose to the ground and you gotta grind. Grinding is the only way you're gonna make it in this world. What would you tell them? Go ahead, Amari. You can jump on my screen first.
David, you can go first.
What would you tell your peers instead of being out there trying to run after that fast money to get down and work hard and grind to make that long money?
I think like just like work hard and keep doing your thing, and I don't know how to say it.
Just describe it if you can.
David, you can go first after I can go.
All right, thank you. So if anything, I realize is a lot of times fast money can also put you in some very tough situations, not only because you can spend your money even faster. One, it's a short-term solution, and I also look at it as like a form of investment. When you invest in stocks, you could also add that onto investing in life. You do it fast. Fast investing, immediate results. It's never long run, and it only has short-term effects. Whether as you focusing on something that is a more positive approach to things, yes, the results may come slower. Yes, it may take a lot of time, but you'll realize that maybe even like 10, 20, maybe even like in 5 years or wherever you are in the future, you realize that it's worth it. You it's not something that you're no longer suffering through. you actually give yourself like an applause for waiting this long. I think it's a matter of just staying focused, and trying to divert to something that is a lot more productive in a more positive way. Maybe not just for yourself, but also for your own life in general. Those around you. You want to make sure you're always in that positive mindset.
All right, Travion. I know that it's supposed to be hard for you because I know them girls are shooting at you and they trying to get them pockets.
Yo, chill. All right. So, can you repeat the question for me one more time? My humble apologies on that.
So how would you tell your peers about they need to work harder and for the long term money versus just doing that quick money they get out there? They can hit the streets and make $1.50 in a couple of hours. But they need to really do the real work.
One, education. Education is key. Then second, what I would say is that I just write a whole note on what we're gonna say. So I say education and have a supporting team to back you, which is like friends, family. If someone is to back you, your motivation. Feel me? And don't grab at easy money. Go for her gigs. Easy money, you get an easy job. Like you fill a job application. Let's say for instance, like I don't know, like an off the books job, something. That's fast money. Everybody gonna love that because no taxes is coming off of that. So I will love that myself. But it's okay to have it for now. But as I always say, you can't don't aim for the aim for the sun. If you can't aim for the sun, aim for the stars. Always be close. Always be close. So that's all I could basically say for now. That's it.
So as Mike and Jerry, do we have any wisdom we can tell these guys about, some of the, listen, I played professional football. I think of how many thousands of dollars I wish I had back, and I was out there, running with the millionaires, and I was only 1,000 there. But how can we help the young guys be able to say, listen, we need to be smarter with our money, because you never know, you never know. You end up one day you're 50 years old and you're like, wow, I wish I could have. Go ahead, Mike.
That's a good one, and it's a tough one. You know what I mean? Like I didn't live in my car as Jerry said, but there was a time where I was like, how am I gonna pay these bills? And in my version of it, I did stick through it from high school to college. Although one time offline, I'll tell you about some of the times I almost screwed up several times and got myself kicked out of college. But I managed to muscle down enough to finish. But even there, well before the stuff I do now with DYCD, I was working in the music biz, and that's a land of people thinking that they're gonna get fast money. It's the land of people thinking they get fast money, and I'm sure there are people listening who are like, "Well, I'm just gonna do music or my beats or my painting or my art or whatever," and I learned from firsthand experience. All that stuff is cool and it's enriching, and I have great stories and even a few great contacts. But you always got to have a backup plan. It doesn't mean you shouldn't pursue your dreams. You just have to do it in a planful way. And another thing I learned in college that I think is helpful to these guys is when you're meeting people and you can hang with these folks and they seem interesting, you're learning about stuff, whatever, and then they go inside and you go and hang out with the next one, you get to meet these other people. Like, you got to remember, whenever one group of people you're hanging out with, they go away, right? Maybe it's because they're studying. Like, you can't just be running around trying to meet everybody all the time. There has to be time where people can't find you either, because you're focusing on what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, it's you that need to take care of your stuff. So it's cool to meet people. It's cool to have plans, and it's good to make friendships. Some of your friendships will end up being lifelong friendships but you have to be living your life over time before you really know that those are the lifelong friendships. You have to be moving forward to the stuff that you need to do. So the last thing I'll say on this, and I'll pass it on to Jerry, is I tried to take note of what the young people, the guys just said themselves, because if people are listening, they may better hear it from them, and they're living it now than, you know, me telling a story about something I lived a while ago. And I heard some good stuff. Everyone was talking about easy money and fast money. And easy money is not all money is good money. That was one, but there was one I think I got from David, which, oh man, I might have to call on David to say it again. It's like instead of being in the crowd, you need to stand out from the crowd. I love that idea. You know, I'm like, whatever it is that you're trying to do, you know what you feel called to do, what you want to put your hand toward, right? And if you start planning that work and working your plan, that's what's going to get you where you're going. You know, so I think all three of the guys talked about hard work, but you know, sometimes it's the spin that you put on it that holds you to it, you know, as opposed to, you know, like we're going to wrap up this meeting at some point. It'd be 8 o'clock at night Eastern time, right? That doesn't mean everybody need to go run out at 8 o'clock at night. You know, frankly, that's one reason why we've been doing these meetings, to remind people during the quarantine, lay low, focus on what you need to do, and don't run around doing stuff that you don't need to be doing right now. So I'll stop there. It's not to preach, it's just to share. So what you got, Jerry?
No, I'm good. Thanks for that, Mike. It's really two things, right? The first one is don't plan too far ahead that you don't leave room for the future. And I repeat again, don't plan too far ahead that you don't leave room for the future. Because like I said before, I had rough times where it's like, oh wow, this is where I am. And even in sports, to speak to Amara, like I thought I was going to be a football player. In my mind, I was locked in. But you don't plan for injury. You don't plan for hurt to where you realize you can't play again. And I put so much energy into one thing versus diversifying my purpose and my call. And that really speaks to what Mike was talking about. Because a lot of times we sit down and we say, hey, and you put your head down, you just focus on this one thing, realizing that your impact, your call, the thing that you're great to do, it's bigger than just that one thing. And so diversify it, right? Leave room for in case something happens, you still got options, you still got relationships, you still got resources to keep pressing forward. Not everything's a stop. A lot of times there's steps. And what you do with that really takes you to that next level. And the second thing is, I heard some of you guys saying it. I know Amar was in David's screen, having an accountability partner or an accountability team that's going to keep you on focus. Like they're going to remind you of your why. Like, why am I trying to get out of Lighthouse, right? Like, why am I trying to be an accountant? They're going to remind you that earlier. For y'all who don't know, like Mike is actually like my big brother, like a mentor to me. And we had a conversation earlier and I was in my own feelings and he was like, no, you got to keep your head down. You keep moving. And he reminded me even in the middle of COVID, like there's still times where, okay, you got to work. And he reminded me of who I was and the things that I got to do. And so it's good to have that accountability team and then diversifying the gift and the greatness that already is you, so that there's room in case something happens, you can still bounce back without totally falling. So that's really what I want to leave y'all, like just amazing young men.
Yeah, and I want to just talk to the young men, and I want to encourage you all to find an older male and tell him, you're my mentor. Tell him, you're going to mentor me. Don't ask them, will they? Tell them.
That is a very good piece of advice. That is a very good piece of advice. Do not ask them, tell them. It will change how they will line up and be it when you tell them that that's how it's going to go. I'm really struck by that. That is an amazing piece of advice.
So I want to let you all know, whether it's myself, Jerry, or Mike, to reach out to us at DYCD. I'm pretty sure we will try to find a way or time to get back in touch with you. I know we're all really busy, but I definitely want you to find some male, some relative, somebody that you're emulating, because we always talk to older guys. We tell older guys, when you wake up and you step outside your house, someone is watching you. Someone is mimicking you. So whether you know it or not, somebody is trying to be like you. So you have to be every day the best you can be. But I tell you, like Mike said, when you find that person, and I don't know if any of you guys have ever done, I want to call it and Mike or Joe, you may help me. It's like picture wall. What's it called when you put
Vision
your
board.
a what?
Vision board.
Yeah. Get a vision board.
Yeah.
and that, I'm telling you, it means a lot. And when you can have a vision that you can wake up every day and say this is what you have. I never forget, I was in St. Louis at a one of my mentors, Sean Dove. He was at a mentor, and they had a young guy come up to. It was a peer mentoring conference that was going on, and they asked all the guys to. He said, "I want you to tell one of these big brothers here why he has to be a mentor." And one of the young guys got up, and he was a little shy, and they were asking him, do you need some help? You want to ask him questions first? And I'm telling you, it was really intimidating, because now I was there with, these are some of the best men around the country. We're all in three-piece suits, Steve Harvey, top of the line suit, everybody's butter, coming in there. And these young guys looking like, wow, these guys are intimidating, and they were tasked to ask us that question. And I never forget the young guy, like I said, he's real shy, and he turned around and said, "Sir, I need you to be my mentor, because I need to be able to go home to your house. I need to be able to drive your car. I need to be able to have that suit you have on." And he just broke this brother down so bad. The guy was on the stage crying about how much he just loved this kid that said, let him know, I got to be like you. So I applaud you to find whoever it is that you want to be, and you tell them, you're going to be my mentor. And you'll see that I'm telling you, they will probably cling to you and do a great job with that. So, Melissa, I know you're sitting there. I know you're hearing all the guy talk. This is the barbershop, so we want to make sure that the young pups get some jewels before they leave here. They can't just leave here just with a haircut and no jewels. We got to put something in the pocket.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
I wanna go with what you just said, Scott, and I want to say something else. And I almost didn't say it because what you said is so powerful and so straightforward. But thinking about my own personal experience, I still want to say this, right? People have energy and people have direction. So if you see someone and they're positive, go talk to them. Like the thing about mentor, which is cool though, is also like people can get overwhelmed, like, oh, what does that mean? And do I have the time? Do I have the blah 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 blah? It doesn't even matter. If you're a young person and you see somebody who has done things or seems like they're doing things that you want to do, and you approach them with any kind of question that shows you're really interested, like, how did you do it? How does one do it? How can I do it? People will invest time in you. Maybe among those people, there's the best person to be a mentor, or this one to be a mentor, that one to be a mentor, but just, I'm telling you, I talk to my godson about this all the time too. When you're young, any young person is full of promise. And they have a whole lot of mistakes to make, and they're going to make a whole lot of mistakes still going, but they have energy, they have curiosity or whatever. And if you go to experienced people or older people and say, tell me about a mistake, or tell me how you did it, or da 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 da, right? People are they're gonna be eager, and they're gonna pour into you. And it doesn't matter how many birth children or grandchildren they have, or any of it. Jerry mentioned me, and we have a relationship when we talk, but I have people that I talk to, and it's supposed to be like that. You know what I mean? And part of it is I had to get out of my own way about that mentor conversation myself. Well, they're too busy, and I'll show them anyway because I'm pretty smart and I can pick it up. When I started being like, oh, wait a minute, I'm here, but how do I get there? Oh, okay, that. Let's talk. You just have to get out of your own way a little bit. Be positive. Ask someone a question. They're going to give you an honest answer to an honest, heartfelt question.
Jerry, you want to jump in on that?
No, facts, y'all are. This is this sweet. I love this stuff right here. Only, and again, I'm only going to extend the stuff that you're hearing. And the best way for me to explain it, I remember watching this movie X-Men. I think it was like X-Men 2, and there was this character called Nightcrawler, right? And his mutant gift would like he can disappear from one location to another, and he's out there and he saved Storm, and Storm needed to get someplace, and to get to the point of it, Storm said, "Hey, I need you to get to this building." And he says, "I can't do it." She says, "Why?" And he said, "Because I can't see what's in that building. If I can't see it, I can find myself inside one of the walls." And the whole point of the story that I want to make is that the whole point of having a mentor is help sharpen your vision so you can see where you're going. So what Scott was saying earlier, it was like, yo, if you see somebody that has the characteristics, the things that you like, the things that you want to attain, and to for your life outcome, to extend what you consider of yourself to be great for the best version of yourself. Allow that person to be a mentor so they can sharpen that vision so you can get there quicker. If you can't see it, it's going to be hard for you to get there. And the whole point is to create that clear line of vision so your trajectory, your point of getting from A to B comes that much more faster. So there's no delay, or I think David was saying that earlier, no distraction to keep you out the way.
So last thing before we start wrapping up, and I just wanted to let you all know, and this is something I always tell people, and I really truly believe this. As long as someone is getting on your case and they have conversation for you, be happy. Because it takes effort to care about you. It takes no effort not to care about you. So if I'm making the effort to jump on your case, get in your face, tell you what you're doing wrong, trying to make you a better person, and you just say, "Would you just get off my back?" The day I get off your back is the day you better come chase me down. Does that make sense to the young guys?
Yes.
I heard one yes. I did hear three.
Yes.
Oh Jesus, yes.
Okay. So, and guys, I love you. I'm sending out my love to you. I don't want you to all think that I'm badgering you. This is brotherly love. They say iron sharpens iron, and if I don't tell you the truth and the hard truth, you'll be a dull blade. So we want you to become the better. You are our future. You are the next leaders that are coming up. We have to get ready to turn over the mantle to you. And the only way we can turn over the mantle to you and to give you what you need so we can survive in retirement, which I'm looking forward to soon, okay, is that we have to tell you the hard truth so that you can be out there and be the best you can be so I can relax on the beach somewhere. Okay. So just winding up, I just want to wind down. Yolanda, are you still there? I want Yolanda. Give us some closing
I'm
thoughts.
here. I'm not seeing video, and I'm not on my video, but I'm absolutely here listening to everything.
So Yolanda, so give us some closing thoughts of this barbershop as we wrap it up.
I just want to say that I said this at the DYCD Swim Mic night that we had last Friday, and I'll say it's something similar here, that truth, sharing something of yourself, it elevates everyone out of their current circumstances, and it pulls us up higher to a higher plane of understanding and existence. And I would say that being able to share and listen to the youth and listen to what everybody has to say, and just know that there are organizations and organizations are made out of people, and there are people in organizations and around this city that are here for you and that want to help you, and we do want to elevate you. We want to lift you up, and I believe that this was a great elevating experience, and I encourage everyone to reach out and get all the resources that you can, because there are people who are not taking advantage of the resources, and there's no reason why you should be one of them. And if you just keep taking advantage of them, you're going to be lifted up, and you're going to be uplifted in a way that you're going to be able to help somebody. And that's really real. And that's, to me, that's the most important thing in life. It's not about money. It's not about what you can get quickly, slowly, or any other way. How can you help somebody in that moment that they need it? and how were you helped in the moment that you needed help. And I think this is going to great distances to helping that be possible. So I thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Miss Melissa,
Here.
go ahead. Give us a few some gems.
I want to thank you. I think this is great. I think Travion, Amara, and David being able to be part of this is great. And thank you guys for, making yourselves available. I know especially Travion. He was happy to be part of this. He took some time off from work just to do it. And it's great. And I love that piece. I love that piece that you said about, for them all to, look for an older mentor. Because at the lighthouses, we do tell them, to look for mentors, and we pair them up with mentors, but someone who's definitely older and experienced that can, really give them some insight about life, trials and tribulations. That's a great point to have been made.
Yeah.
Right. So Amari, we'll start with you. Any closing words that you want to make sure that young guys out there they need to hear?
I think maybe
No, I'm always putting you on the spot, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm gonna start off. Sorry to cut you. Well, I'm gonna say to people out there my age, in your system. Stop the smoking, stop the drinking, pick yourself up. Get a job. You have a social. There's a lot of people out here who would love a social to work in the US. On top of that, what the girls will say, come on. Listen, what the girls will say, focus on yourself. When you get to the point in life that you could go out with your partner, just in case, even if your partner is working also, and your partner does not have, make sure you go out with them. Make sure you can help support them also. Don't just hop into a relationship and then go that way. Okay? So that's basically that's basically all I have to say for right now. And I really appreciate this barbershop because my haircut is really looking very nice right now. So I really appreciate that. All right, next.
Dave, you wanna say something, Dave? And
Yeah. So I was glad and I'm honored to have been here tonight with all you guys and my fellow residents, I guess you could say. Um, what I want to leave you off with is, I mean, with already that everything has already been said, I think something that I would like to give of myself is I know that things may be rough. I don't know what your situation is, and everyone is different. No two lives are exactly the same. But I think what I can apply is, or imply is, try to always keep your head up. I know things may be tough. I know things may be like out of nowhere. You may have no direction, but and I know it's sometimes hard to ask for help. And personally speaking, do it because it can take you places. I know it's hard to ask for help. I know sometimes it may be embarrassing, it may be hard, you may not be in an environment where you're used to doing it, but always look for help and always try to keep your head up because we are young, but eventually we will get to that point where we will be the leaders, we will be the new generation of leaders, uh, the people that are educating the younger generation. Um, and we need to do our best to make sure that we're at our highest. So that's pretty much all I got to say. And I'm again very grateful to have been here at this barbershop talk.
all right, Amari, give me one more chance. Here you come again.
I think like the most important thing I can share, like to keep working on, um, follow your dream, um, and keep like getting like motivation and stop like looking at people like who's smoking or like drinking like bad way. Don't just like follow bad way, follow like good things and good way and keep working on before the day come, and keep like hands up. And I think that's the, and I can say like thank you guys like for calling and asking for everything. I'm so happy like for talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
And then another thing I want to add too, also, if anyone who's watching this right now and ends up in this position, don't be afraid to ask for help because core services is actually here to help you and make sure you get a better future in life than just any shelter systems. There's also incredible staff here also who wants to see you get out there and pursue your dreams. Okay? That's it.
So, Mike and Jerry, we're winding up another great show. I think we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. Any last word from you guys?
I was
I'll
glad
go.
to be in the barbershop with these ladies and with these great young men. So I'm looking forward to hearing great things. They're connected to DYCD programs. If anyone who's with us today is not, go to the website, right? www.nyc.gov/DYCD. Everything our agency is funding, you can find on our webpage.
Brother Jerry, before I close it out?
I think Mike called it out. You know where we at. You know how to get to DYCD. To all the panelists, all you amazing young men, Amara, David, Kavion, thank you for sharing just a little bit about yourselves to make us a lot better within ourselves. And just thank you for everybody who's listening.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
and happy Thanksgiving too, just in case. I want to make sure everybody have a great holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, I don't want to go over too long, but there's one thing that was said earlier. I believe Yolanda said it too, right? Or that organizations are made of people. And that's hugely important because sometimes it doesn't matter how old we are, we're walking around and we're trying to navigate systems. And
Yeah.
sometimes systems are designed in ways, but that's because it's easier on some of the people who are in those systems. But everything we've been talking about today is about getting connected. People who are positive, people who have knowledge, and working your plan, planning your work and working your plan. Because it's only people. It's only people running these systems. And when you speak with other people and you build up relations with other people around your team, guess what? You and that group start winning. So I think that's very powerful that she lifted that up. And I'm on your guys' team. I want you guys on my team. And we got big things that we're trying to do. So we need each other.
Let's get it. Thank you, Melissa. Big
Thank you so
stuff.
much.
So a couple of notes as we wind down. I know there was some chats about there's a video. Some people asked, where can I find this? Is it being recorded? Yes, it is being recorded. It will be on the DYCD website. You can check on under the barbershop. We're still building a bigger website for the fatherhood that'll eventually land on. There are other resources that we have, so please, as Mike said, go to DYCD website and find information. You can find this will be online probably sometime tomorrow. It will be up and ready to view. Our past barbershop discussions will be up and ready to view also, or already up and viewing right now for those who haven't seen them. The other thing I just wanted is why I have the young people on. I just have a little information that DYCD is looking for youth in our youth council. So if you really want to get your voices heard and be able to hear and us to understand what's happening, please join the youth advisory group that DYCD is having. You can go to the website. You can find it. They're looking for young people ages 14 to 24. Must live in New York City. They're doing social justice, civic engagement things that they're doing. They have a town hall meeting coming up on the November 30th at 5 o'clock. This is registered for the event coming up on November 30th. You can go to their website. Also, I've been contacted by a couple of different grad students who are looking for young men, especially young fathers, to doing studies. So if you're interested in being part of a national study about young fathers or young men, you can contact me. My email address is sleach, SSLEACH, at nycd.gov. I will also be able to give you further information. So I just want to thank everyone for being on tonight. I really enjoyed the young guys, and I hope some young guys, you come back. Don't let this be the last time we see you, be in contact with you. And I also want to thank all of our people behind the scenes. I want to thank my staff. Dave, you've done an excellent job managing the website tonight, Dave. I appreciate you. Sarah and Elaine and Jerry, Jermaine, we always appreciate you all. Sarah, I know you're out there. You may be retiring right now, getting a little rest. That's good. But we appreciate all those that have put hard work into getting this thing up and going and making sure that we're able to communicate to our community things of this caliber. And as everyone said, we want to wish everybody a healthy and safe Thanksgiving. As the government has said, if you don't have to travel, please stay home, be with the ones you love, be around for next year so you can be having a better Thanksgiving. Sacrifice now for the future.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
So much.
We'd like to see everybody. All the
Thank you,
panelists and
guys.
stuff, please hang on while we close out the the YouTube channel. Just hang on for a second, everybody. So
Okay.
Dave, let me know when the YouTube channel is shut down, or Jermaine.
Okay. Thank you so much.